So what happened in Indiana now has happened in Tennessee. Severe storms in the area knocked out power all across Memphis, Tennessee.
You remember when we talked about residents of Gary, Indiana going more than 2 weeks without power? Well, they still don't have power. But the same thing is happening in Memphis, Tennessee.
But this is the face of a mad black woman. Memphis, where's the power? Day 3, no power. Why we still have no power? It's people who on machines. Where is the help?
Today, we will hear from Black Americans calling out local and national government officials after powerful storm hits Memphis, Tennessee. Check it out.
So y'all know I had to pull up on my grandmama and granddaddy to check on them to make sure they okay because they power been out. You get what I'm saying? And I'm finna show y'all how the street look. I'm finna show y'all how the street look, okay? I'm finna show y'all. And this how my grandparents' street look. Like, this one of the houses that's on the street. Look at this. Y'all, look at this. Look. The whole fucking tree fell down. I'm finna show y'all the root of the fucking tree. Look at this. Look at this big ass tree. This whole tree then damaged their house. Look at this. This whole big ass tree came out the fucking ground.
So what happened in Indiana now has happened in Tennessee. Severe storms in the area knocked out power all across Memphis, Tennessee. This video was made by a local creator in Memphis, just showing people the damage that has been caused by these storms. And as being reported as of yesterday, 140,000 people was without power. This strong storm system brung down trees, flooded areas, power lines, and outages all across the Shelby County. Now, what was reported as of last night, 40,000 customers had power restored. But that still leaves 100,000 people without power. And being reported as of this morning, several streets in the area are still flooded with down power lines and debris everywhere. Mother Nature really showing us how she feels. It's time to start cutting these trees down if they too close to these power lines. Count me out.
Y'all see this face? It might look pretty, but this is the face of a mad black woman. Memphis, where's the power? Day 3, no power. Y'all, they trying to do us like Gary. And this is crazy. It's that government shit I be talking about. Why we still have no power? It's people who on machines. Where is the help?
Another one? Memphis, Tennessee is without power for 2 days now. 2. They had some sort of crazy storm, winds, weather-related incident and took out all the power. But let's just guess what counties don't have power, haven't been restored. Take a wild guess. Mostly the people that look like me. So Memphis, Tennessee is without power.
All right, y'all, so a quick update. Yeah, we're almost at 24 hours now. In about 2 hours, we'll be 24 hours without power. I went to my mom's house, check on her. I thought her power was out. She wasn't answering the phone. But anyway, so we got the charge back up. So we got that going, charging my phone. And then we got the fan that is charging. It's one of those electrical fans that you just charge it up, and then you can put a water thing, some of this water. So excuse the front porch, we was painting and stuff, and we haven't quite got done. But anyway, then we got Charlie out here. We got the grill going because we got a bunch of stuff in the freezer that needs to be cooked before it goes. So all the stuff that we got, and then of course Charlie wants to help with everything that going on, and we just kind of waiting for power to come back. It's was 200 and something thousand last night. It's 85,000 now. So they're working it on down.
Reporting live from another bitch's business, and now we have Memphis that is now out of power. Over 100,000 houses in Memphis are without power. So we have now gone from Gary, Indiana to now Memphis, Tennessee in results to the storm. Memphis lights, gas, water has stopped, and they do not know when service will be restored. And it's fucking hot as fuck. If you ever been to Memphis, bitch, you know that it's motherfucking hot. Needless to say, you need your resources, they need their resources. And I don't see enough media attention about a lot of these states and cities being without resources.
100,000 people in Memphis, Tennessee woke up today without power. 100,000 people, and I would be remiss to say that Memphis, Tennessee is a predominantly black city. Yesterday, a storm with over 70-mile-an-hour winds hit the Memphis area, uprooting trees and knocking off branches. But you want to know what still has power in Memphis? I'll give you a hint. Elon Musk's data center. Now, my homegirl Amber, who lives in Memphis, Tennessee, put this on a map so you can see those two green circles is where the data center is located.
You remember when we talked about residents of Gary, Indiana going more than 2 weeks without power? Well, they still don't have power. But the same thing is happening in Memphis, Tennessee. A severe storm came through Memphis this weekend with winds up to 60 miles an hour. It impacted 130,000 Memphis light, gas, and water customers. And even this Sunday, there's 100,000 people that are still impacted without electricity. The Memphis Light, Gas, and Water says that this is a multi-day project, and they said that full restoration won't happen until probably this Thursday. That's more than a multi-day. That's almost a week. Can you imagine the things that are needed? Now, they said they're prioritizing treatment plants and hospitals and places that, you know, quote unquote, need it faster. But there are folks that are at home on ventilators and need breathing treatments and things that need to be plugged up to electricity. This is really dangerous. It's dangerous. And it's seeing it in so many predominantly black communities. First Gary, Indiana, now Memphis, Tennessee. And it seems like they're ongoing.
Hey, everybody. It's Representative Justin J. Pearson here. Look, after a severe thunderstorm and straight line wind last night, over 100,000 households in Memphis are without power. And Memphis Light, Gas, and Water says the service won't be fully available or restored at least until next Thursday. It's 90 degrees outside, and not only are households without power, but so are some churches and several of our schools. Memphis is a majority black city where a quarter of the population currently live underneath the poverty line. And this is the same place where Elon Musk chose to build the country's largest set of data centers, which have the same electric grid as Memphis families now without power. Also left in the dark right now are tens of thousands of residents of Gary, Indiana, who've been without power for almost 2 weeks now. And Gary is a city where 75 to 80% of its residents are black, and a third of the residents are living below the poverty line, and they're literally being left in the dark and ignored. After data center power usage has made utility bills go up for months, now these same residents in Memphis and Gary and all over the country are the ones without power. When thunderstorms flooded Gary 11 days ago, 300,000 people lost power, and today tens of thousands, including some of our family members, are without power. Full restoration there isn't even expected until another week. And Indiana is home to 147, yes, 147 data centers. And Gary's electric grid powers 8 of them. This energy demand caused residents' utility bills to skyrocket, and now we're dealing with what's going on right now. Working class black and rural communities are bearing the brunt of fallout from extreme weather events and the pressure that our grids are facing from the AI data center boom.
Two predominantly black cities, Gary, Indiana, and Memphis, Tennessee, have recently been hit by powerful storms that left thousands of residents dealing with fallen trees, damaged homes, blocked streets, and prolonged power outages. But as the days have passed, another issue has become just as important as the storms themselves. Where is the help? And perhaps even more importantly, why are some neighborhoods being left without power for so long? In Gary, Indiana, a powerful storm struck on August 11th, producing winds as high as 99 miles per hour. Nearly 38,300 utility customers in Gary alone lost power. The situation became especially troubling because some residents went nearly 2 weeks without electricity. By August 24th, NIPSCO reported that it had restored power to more than 364,000 of approximately 370,000 customers affected across its service territory. But Gary remained one of the communities experiencing some of the longest outages. NIPSCO's restoration estimate for Gary extended through August 25th. For residents, this meant spoiled food, difficulty charging phones, businesses losing money, schools being disrupted, and serious problems for people who depend on electricity for medical equipment. Gary Mayor Eddie Melton publicly criticized the length of the outage. Governor Mike Braun also called for an investigation into NIPSCO's storm preparedness, vegetation management, and infrastructure spending. A lawsuit has also been filed alleging that inadequate tree maintenance contributed to the damage. NIPSCO disputes those allegations. So there are legitimate questions about whether the electrical infrastructure and vegetation management system were adequately prepared. But Gary isn't the only city dealing with this problem. On August 22nd, Memphis and surrounding Shelby County were hit by another powerful storm system. MLGW reported straight-line winds exceeding 70 miles per hour, with more than 140,000 customers affected by power outages. Trees fell across neighborhoods, blocking roads and damaging power lines and other infrastructure. By August 24th, approximately 35,000 Memphis customers were still without electricity, although MLGW had restored power to more than 100,000 customers. The utility said the remaining outages were smaller and more complicated, and that restoration could take several more days. And this is where residents are beginning to ask some serious questions. Where are the governor, the mayor, and FEMA? To be fair, government assistance is not completely absent. Indiana activated state resources, including the National Guard, and federal emergency assistance has been made available following the Indiana storms. In Memphis, however, Congressman Steve Cohen has been urging Governor Bill Lee to request federal disaster assistance for Shelby County. So the issue isn't simply that FEMA is doing nothing. The bigger question is, are government and utility resources reaching the hardest-hit neighborhoods quickly enough? And why does the recovery sometimes appear so different from one community to another? That question becomes particularly sensitive in Gary because the city has already experienced decades of population loss, industrial decline, and economic disinvestment. When a community already has aging infrastructure and fewer economic resources, a major disaster can create even greater hardship. And this brings us to a question that some residents are now asking. Could prolonged outages and storm damage eventually contribute to gentrification? Could struggling homeowners be forced to sell? Could outside investors purchase damaged homes and vacant property? Could developers eventually transform neighborhoods while longtime residents are priced out? These are legitimate questions about what happens during disaster recovery. History shows why residents may be concerned. Disasters can accelerate changes that were already occurring. Homeowners who cannot afford repairs can lose their properties. Small businesses can close. Property values can change. Developers can acquire damaged or vacant properties. And government decisions about rebuilding can determine who benefits from billions of dollars in recovery and infrastructure investment. That's why residents should be watching what happens after the power comes back on. Who receives rebuilding assistance? Who receives development contracts? Will longtime homeowners be protected? And will residents who have lived in these neighborhoods for generations still be able to afford to remain there? Those questions are just as important as getting the electricity restored. Tell me what you think about this topic. Hope you find the information in this video informative. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Thanks for watching.